If you have HIPAA information, HIPAA is healthcare information. Like if you go to the hospital, all of us experience, this is the crazy thing about security compliance. Everyone is involved in it. All of us, whether you know it or not. It happens in the background. Most of us don't pay any attention to it. Whenever you swipe your card, you go get some gas, you swipe your card, guess what? PCI compliance. That little device that you swipe has to have some kind of PCI compliance. Has to have some person to have documentation to make sure the security features on that system. They have to track that little system to make sure that nobody is tampered with it. It has to be on its own separate network. There's all these little things that you have that go into the back end you don't even think about. But healthcare is the same way. So HIPAA is a standard for protecting your healthcare information. If you go to the hospital, go routine checkup, and that hospital is supposed to have some sort of process in place to protect your personally identifiable information and your healthcare information. Because that's very important. If that stuff gets leaked and let's say you have a fatal disease, you don't want people to know that, right? That's personal information. God forbid you have a fatal disease, but something, has gone awry. You don't want people knowing that information, right? It's supposed to be protected. So he's asking, is HIPAA a high or moderate? So let's look at HIPAA. So there's actually some stuff on HIPAA that I can show you. So right here, I'm in NIST's interpretation of what you do with healthcare information. So let me show you how I find this. So this is NIST 860 Volume 2, Revision 1, which has all the types of information. This is how you classify any system, a space-based system, Intel system, anything you could think of. It has a guidance in this document right here. It'll give you some idea of what your organization might do. It's not telling you exactly what you should do because they can't possibly know your situation. They can't possibly know your configuration. They can't possibly know what kind of threats you face, right? This is constantly evolving, changing space here. So when they write this, it's got to be very generic in general. And that's what they do here. They kind of give you some guidance on what you should do. And this is the guide for mapping types of information and information systems to security categories. So let's look at healthcare information. There's tax information, there's salary information, there's healthcare information. They have a whole section for this. So healthcare, they have access to healthcare information types. They have population health management. They have healthcare administration information types. They have healthcare delivery service. This is probably what he's talking about. So for this, they're saying, here's how you should treat the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of the system. When you're talking about securing information, those are the three main things. Of course, there's all kinds of other things, right? There's non-repudiation, there's authentication, there's all these other things. But they kind of all boil down to three things, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Availability means how can people get to the information. Integrity is, did anybody tamper with the information? How safe is the information when it goes from point A to point B? And then confidentiality is secrecy. Do we need to make sure that this information is secret, right? You might be saying, well, I don't think anything should be secret. Well, what about your banking information? Shouldn't that be secret? Like there's tons of stuff that should be secret. There's tons of stuff that should definitely be secret, right? So confidentiality, integrity, and availability. How do we determine, what does the NIST 860 tell us about this? It kind of gives you some idea of what it should be. And it's kind of pointing to moderate right here. It says, kind of gives you some kind of a case, a use case, a loose use case, and it gives you what they think it should be moderate, right? And your organization might say, well, no, it should be low, right? It really depends on your organization. So the answer to the question, does HIPAA mean it's going to be high or moderate? It depends on the organization. I would say no less than moderate, but it really depends on the situation. What kind of protection you have? What kind of healthcare information are you protecting, right? Is it just first name, last names, or is it first name, last name, social security number, and a disease with your prescription? Like what information are we talking about? It really depends on that. That's going to dictate whether it's low, medium, high. But here's the thing. If you want guidance on it, here's where you would get that guidance. It's 860 Volume 2. And there's another one called, and this is a legacy one that they're actually updating. This is NIST's interpretation of HIPAA security, and it breaks down everything you need to know about their interpretation of it. There's a revision 2 coming out, but this is NIST 866. revision 1, but there's a 2 out there. So that should give you some kind of guidance if you happen to be in the healthcare industry.